Okay, welcome everybody to my video. Hope everybody's okay and hasn't yet lost their minds or pulled their hair out or maybe damaged anything because of the frustrations associated with assignment 1 and 2 of the UiPath Level 3 Advanced Developer Training. So the good news is that I'm here to offer you a solution and a solution that you can essentially just put on your machine from the workflows that I'm offering, and you should be able to run the workflows, and the robot will do what it's supposed to do as per the PDD for the assignment. So firstly, let me just go to this machine here. So I've done the assignments myself. I have completed assignment 1, and I have also completed assignment 2, which is to generate the yearly report. So as I say, I'm here to talk about the solution I'm offering you, and less about how I got to the solution and how to get to the solution and what to do step by step. This is literally me talking about um, the solution and how you can benefit from it. So I'm just going to run the main workflow from the first assignment, which is to calculate the client security hash. So my story is that I have been doing the training. I've been doing the business analyst training, as well as the all the implementation methodology trainings, etc. So for a project that's coming up that I'm going to be working on, or need, or have, or potentially be working on, the criteria was that all the staff or all the engineers on hand would need to have at least up to level 3 of the UiPath training. So I've done the foundation, I've done the orchestra training as well. Level 3, really, I mean, it's you get really stuck in, there's no shortcuts, or there's no um, rushing your way through the level 3, because it tests a lot of understanding. It tests that um, things are supposed to work the way that, I suppose, are defined. It just tests a whole lot of understanding of UiPath as a whole. So of course, reading the PDD, translating the specific requirements in the PDD to the actual code or the actual workflows. So yes, I struggled with this, guys. I don't want to lie. I've been struggling with this for quite a long time. I mean, the forums sometimes aren't that helpful. There's a lot of smart asses, and there's a lot of wise guys who are not really there to maybe offer solutions, but kind of just be a dick, or just pout for silly reasons. So I was under a lot of pressure to actually get through this. So as much as I understood a lot of UiPath and the different components, I understood a lot of how it works. The theory was very solid in terms of what I learned in the what's the one, the level 1 foundation. But you see, the thing is that with the level 3, you can't rush through it, and it tests that everything you've learned from level 1 and orchestrator, and essentially the assignments and practices in the level 1, can you put it into practice? So as much as I knew a lot about it, I was just under pressure to get through it. And I suppose this is where the solution comes in. So if you're in a situation similar to me, where you've probably got like a job on the line, or you've got project work on the line, and this is a specific requirement that you need to have gotten through level 3, I think you looking for a solution to just kind of get through the admin, and just get back to learning and developing UiPath essentially in your own time, at your own pace. So if you fit the description, if you just kind of want to get through the process, get that job, pass that assignment, whatever it may be, meet that criteria, then this solution is for you, because you're simply going to be able to take the workflows, put them on your machine, and run them without having to make tweaks and modifications. If you just kind of stick to the specifications that I've laid out, then it should work. So the robot is actually running now. This is assignment 1. Everything is happening on its own there. One thing as well that I will say is that uh, you know there's a lot of crossing of, what's it called, crossing of T's and dotting of I's required to actually get this right. I found out. So when I was struggling with this, I was at a point where I could get the workflows running to the point where I needed them to execute the objective, but kind of just tying them in, it felt like there was a thread missing. And that it got me paying more attention to things like making sure that your simulate click activities are checked in your properties boxes, to make sure that your simulate types are checked where necessary. Sometimes you have a workflow that's got an output argument, but maybe it's defined as an in argument. So the process of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, I found was really, really important to actually get through this. So frustrating, because I was working towards a deadline, but very, very worth it. So like I say, guys, if you're looking for just a pass, then this is it. This is the pass that you need. But I want to make it clear as well that there's no really bullshitting your way around UiPath as a whole, because there's very specific lessons that you learn from these assignments that we do. So it really gets you stuck into acquainting yourself with the various activities and different kinds. Okay, so this one's done. So let's actually so that one's done. That was the client security hash. Let's just check the output. Okay, so here's another thing. In my solution, clean as a whistle, So if we look at the output there, it started opening the applications from processing transaction number 1. Looking clean all the way through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay, it closes the applications. The total time was about 5 minutes runtime on this. So as I say, the video is not, this is not about, for me, going into the workflows and how I did it, etc., etc. So, okay, so there's quite a better view, a log. But what I will tell you is that the solution is exactly according to the specifications of the PDD. So I've used the frameworks. How do I get this thing to disappear now? What the hell? Dock it and then pin it. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so this is probably a workflow that you're going to interact with a lot, the extract client information. The others are pretty straightforward, and then maybe the get hash code. This is where there's kind of a lot of logic, etc. So working solution on offer to you. I'll zip this up in a file. Actually, it's all zipped up already there. There's the first assignment already zipped up in a file. You can have that. And then the second solution, let me run the generate yearly report for vendor. So I'll start with the dispatcher process, and I'll explain that later, or or you should know if you've actually been doing the assignments. It actually tells you need to have a dispatcher process, which is actually going to do the dispatching, and the performer process, which is actually going to execute the task. This particular assignment, they tell you need to have orchestrator. You're going to need to use an orchestrator queue. So you're going to need to make sure that your orchestrator is set up for this one. Like I say, this is, I'm not going to, you should know essentially how to do all of this and kind of get it done. There are documents and everything that tell you how to set up orchestrator. Even in the assignment, you told how to set up orchestrator. So that's something you're going to have to make sure you've done. So for this one, let's start with the dispatcher. Let me just run. Remember, I'm just running the workflows, or the main workflows, to show you that it works, because at the end of it all, I'm going to offer you these two files. It's going to be the client security hash zip file and the other generate vendor report zip file. And obviously I'm going to charge. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I struggled through this for about a month and a bit, and I can understand as well why somebody would rather just buy the solution, get through it, to be able to meet, for example, a more immediate objective. Just like me, I needed to kind of get this done. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to be eligible for some work or project work that is kind of in the pipeline. So if you're in a situation like that, I repeat, if you're in a situation like that, I mean, this is for you. You just kind of want to get the source code, put it on run through, but have the understanding and the honesty that you will still need to understand UiPath as a whole. To get these assignments accomplished, I mean, I had to go very, very deep into some of the fundamentals outlined in some of the fundamentals outlined in the first one, the first level, the level one. Okay, let's just see what happened with this one. Okay, so this dispatcher processed. Let's maybe make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so this particular one needs to go and look for work item 4, I think it is, and then extract some details there, and then add it to an orchestrator queue. As I said, your orchestrator will need to be running, so I think mine might have just timed out. Let me just log into my orchestrator to see if the queue is indeed updated. It should be, because I would have received an error. Okay. So this, guys, I'm not going to talk you through this. I mean, this is covered in the orchestrator training, how to log into orchestrator and make orchestrator queues, etc., etc. Okay, there we go. So that's my dispatcher process completed, and in my queue I have 18 items to process. So that's 18 items of work item 4 that it picked up. So obviously now this needs to be generated into a yearly report. So let's close we're going to close our dispatcher process, or our dispatcher workflow, docket, pin it. Okay, so this is a very straightforward workflow. Really, it just kind of logs you in, does the extraction, and all of this, by the way, is done with the Robotics Enterprise Framework as expected or defined by the PDD. Yeah, just kind of logs in, gets the details. This is the workflow that you'll interact with a lot, the navigate to work items, as well as the process workflow, which actually does the dispatching. Okay, so let me now open the dispatcher. We've done the dispatcher, so now we need to do the performer process. So the performer process is going to now take the transaction in the orchestrator queue that the dispatcher populated, and perform the task of extracting the tax ID and downloading the monthly report, merging all the monthly reports into one, and then uploading that as a yearly report. So again, I'm not going to talk through here's all the workflows here. We still have the system one workflows. The framework is always going to be there. It's defined and recommended by UiPath to use the framework and keep using the framework standard. This is the workflow that will be interacted with a lot, the create yearly report. But anyways, again, I'm not talking you through it. I'm just running to show that it works. So I forgot what I was saying earlier about, yeah, I was just saying, I think if you're in a situation where you don't have the time to dance around, you kind of need to get this done and meet a bigger objective, then this is really for you. I battled, I struggled, but in the end, it's worth it. I'm not even a developer. I'm actually a systems engineer. So for me, it was just a frustration, because there are times where you actually having errors, or coming down to a level where you need to actually interact with VB syntax. So, I mean, I'm not a VB programmer, I'm not a VB developer, and that's where I think I struggled a lot, where you've got the workflows in the correct order, you've defined your arguments and your variables, etc., etc. But then it becomes about the syntax expression, and that was a hair puller. And I've got this deadline hanging over me to kind of, I need to have that level 3 by certain time, otherwise, I can't get on the bus. So if you're in a situation like me, guys, like I say, I mean, you've got a solution. I'm showing you here that it actually works. So I've checked out other videos, and guys are just kind of bullshitting their way through the video. I mean, you're not really seeing a working solution. It's guys just kind of, oh, let me tell you about the challenges, let me tell you about this, let me tell you about this, and no one is really telling you this is how to do it. And I suppose that's a good thing in a way, because the objective is for you to learn and figure it out by yourself. But you don't really feel that way if you've got a deadline hanging over you. I don't recommend trying to, download or take somebody else's code and modify it to be your own. That I think can, if anything, maybe even just cause a lot more confusion, because logic is very subjective. We think differently. So if you're gonna just kind of take somebody else's workflows and maybe just kind of try and do your own thing, it's kind of not going to work. Learn it, guys. Learn the selectors, learn the contributing factors to why your selectors might not work. Learn about the activities, about the benefits or the disadvantages and advantages versus using, for example, an OCR read text activity versus just a read text activity. Learn about the dotting the i's and crossing the t's. Like I said, I mean, checking that your arguments are actually set in the correct direction, making sure that your simulate activities are checked, um, making sure that certain activities are in the correct environment. So certain activities you can only invoke, for example, in a specific other or another activity, like a attach browse activity. So you might be having a struggle where your robot is not executing a specific task, but just you find that the activity is being defined maybe in the wrong kind of activity. Those kind of nuances, guys, I feel like are very important to pay attention to if you're serious about being a developer. I suppose, I mean, if I wanted to be a full-time developer, I would get more stuck in. But like I say, that's not where I was really heading with my involvement or my interest in UiPath. But as I say, you lose absolutely nothing. And in fact, I recommend that you do the developer course, because it helps you to speak the language. It helps you to talk the talk. It helps you to understand, the advantages and disadvantages of using UiPath. It actually gives you a very solid working idea, honestly speaking. And the assignments, I think the assignments, very, very realistic. I think that they were so hard because it gives you a reality of how certain, easy looking tasks might be a little bit more complex or require a little bit more thinking to put into a process. So don't skip it. Like I say, I mean, if you buy into this solution that I'm offering you, don't skip it. Don't then like kind of, you know, not learn the elements or the fundamentals that you need to learn, or the lessons that you need to learn from the assignment. Don't skip that. This is just a favor. This is just a guy who kind of went to the mountain and back, and just kind of feels like if you're not trying to be like a hardcore, you know what I mean, like hardcore UiPath developer in depth, and you just kind of meeting, you need to just meet a standard criteria or minimum. This is the solution for you. So let me know if you're interested. Pop me an email. As I said, I'll zip up the files, or the files are already zipped up, and I'll send it off to you. And as you saw, I mean, when I put it on when I opened the files on my studio, I didn't do any modifications. I didn't, do any funny tricks where you kind of have to now, oh, make sure this variable is set before like all the crap that you come across in the other videos, because the guy's just not showing you a solution. He's just kind of showing you workarounds, and then he's clicking buttons, and then it stops working, and then you have to stop, and then you must change something. And you just think, look, I'm not getting anywhere with this. So if you don't have time for that, if you just kind of want something that you'll plug, click, and let it run and do its thing, you've come to the right place. As you can see, the robot's been running now for quite a while. This is the second one. I think I'm going to stop it because, I mean, you get the picture. This will run until it's completed about 18 transactions. So that's a lot of transactions. For the assignments, when I was doing the assignments, I think it ran for about 47 minutes. The second assignment, if you run it start to finish and it's doing exactly what it needs to do, no internet interruptions or timeouts, and that Acme site, if that Acme site stays up, I don't know your experiences, guys, but that Acme site sometimes can be frustrating when you're trying to test the workflow and then suddenly it's lost connection, or there's just no connectivity to it. So yeah, this runs for about 47 minutes, guys. Was it 57? I'm not even sure, but it runs for more than 30 minutes, this second assignment. And as you can see, it's doing exactly what it needs to do. It's literally logged in, it's logged itself into the Acme website. It's navigating to the work items defined. It's extracting the vendor tax ID. It's using that to search for the monthly report for that month. The sequence of saving the download, that's a bit of a dance as well. I'll be honest, guys, it's a bit of a dance to kind of get that right, because you have to compensate for the pop-ups. Those, you see those pop-ups that come up, you have to kind of make sure that you give it enough time to wait for the pop-up to be there, and then clicking the save as, and then obviously in this file name field, you want to use a simulate type activity, to literally type the variable that you've stored for the path and the actual file name that's been appended with the month. So you'll realize that it's storing report r blah 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 without the month, and the save as step is to actually accommodate for you to put that in, to put the month in. So as I say, look, guys, this thing will. I'm just going to stop it because of time, But it does this for 47 minutes, and then it kind of stops, and then all your queues for all your transactions would have been processed from the queue. So I'm just going to stop this. Okay, I've stopped it intentionally. Let's just close this browser as well. Okay, so let's just check the output. Okay, so it ran for about 8 minutes, and 8 minutes, I think, is still a long way to go, but there we go. I mean, from the output, I mean, it's clean as a whistle, guys. I mean, this is clean as a whistle. Opens the applications, transaction started, processing transaction number 1 with the work item ID. It's extracted these are debug steps you'll see in the workflows that I've put there just to make sure that you're putting the right information. Create the yearly report, gets the path correctly, sends it, moves on to the next one after the transaction successful. If we look at our queue, our orchestrator queue, remember that in this assignment, or the second assignment, so there's about 15 items remaining. Okay, so look, guys, here's a solution. It's working. If you want this, send me an email, and then I'll send you payment details where you can make the payment, and yeah, that's it. Main thing was to show you that it works. What else did I want to mention? Is there anything I specifically wanted to mention? Nothing specific that I needed to mention. Like I say, oh yes, there we go. That's the point I wanted to mention. On the workflows, particularly on the dispatcher process. The dispatcher process I've specifically defined to use the Chrome browser, and I'll tell you why. Because when I try to install the extension for here's my dispatcher process, that's one thing that um, it's not a modification that you need to make, if you've got Chrome installed on your machine. So basically this is a plug and play solution, but I just want to explain that in the dispatcher process I used the browser type to be Chrome for the reason that IE was not wanting to install the extension. There's an extension called Edge, you see. So just to show you here, so my browser type is Chrome, and this is because IE for some reason can't scrape. Remember, you need to install the extensions for you to use data scraping. So the IE app couldn't install the Edge. I think the thing is called Edge. I think it's called Edge. Yeah, the Edge extension. I tried installing this on IE and it couldn't work, so I just used Chrome to scrape. But anyway, like I say, guys, this stuff is available. If you're interested, let me know. Yeah, so I'm charging $15. Let me know if you're interested, and then you pop me a mail, and then I'll send you banking details. You can pop me a transfer, I send you your files, or you can get it from a Dropbox link, and you can go on your merry way, and happy UiPathing. But remember, guys, don't bullshit your way around it. You're not going to get far. This is really just for someone who needs to get over a hurdle and still go back to the basics, and do the basics right. So as you see, I've done the framework. I've used the framework. Some of the guys on the solutions on some of these stupid videos where the guys uh, he's talking about, no, I did it my way. I did it my way. Okay, you did it your way, but the assignment is very specific. So the assignment is also training that can you stick to the specification. It's no point we have a PDD which defines, it's a process definition. So it's defining the damn process, and then you want to do it your own way. Yeah, you've gotten it to work, but you've done it your own way, away from the process definition. And from a corporate, I mean, I've been in corporate, or I've worked in corporate environments or consulted now for more than 10 years, and you're not going to get away with that for much longer. When people tell you this is the way we want it, and you're going to go do it your own way, just so that it works. What about the next guy that comes in that needs to take over from the project? He doesn't know what you've done. So there's a reason they ask you to stick to the frameworks and use the workflows in a way that's going to be reusable, in a way that's going to be easily understandable. I use a lot of comments in my workflow so that people understand what was happening. So again, guys, like I said, this video was not to show you how to get to the solution. This was a video to sell you the solution, and the solution's available immediately. All you need to do is pop me an email, and then I will send you my banking details, and then you can pay a gratuity of $15. Okay, thank you so much. Cheers, bye.